Morgen und herzlich willkommen zum neuen Video. Ich versuche heute mal neues Game, Cursed Painting. Ich habe da schon ein bisschen gespielt, ich kenne das Ganze schon. Also an sich, ich will einfach das Dungeon zeigen. Ich mache noch einen zweiten Teil mit Mountain. Ja, ich guck einfach mal. Ich hoffe, das klappt.
No matter. Undead is undead and it lunges towards you. Combat begins. You are fighting the undead. The first round is yours. Your health is 50.
Power attack.
You gear up for a powerful strike. You roll 26. You deal 43 damage. The undead loses
Also
balance.
erwartet keine spannenden Kämpfe.
You gain 250 experience. You'll need another 4,355 experience to gain a level. You restore 5 of your health thanks to regeneration. The jailer falls to the ground in a heap. You breathe an all too early sigh of relief.
Search the body.
You bend down looking closer at the body. It appears to be of an undead, but perhaps several matched together by a great force. You wrinkle your nose at the morbid sight and shudder. You rather prefer the sin of a noble's feast to that of a twice dead man. The whole thing looks like a clay sculpture, made by a highly imaginative, but thoroughly skill-less child. You notice a trail of blood and wreckage leading from the pile to east. You hear the screech of metal on metal and look up to see the undead in the cell nearest you have the door almost off its hinges. Time to leave. To the west is a well-maintained staircase that leads downwards. To the east the hall turns to ruins and caves. Where do you go? East or west?
West. Den Weg kenne ich noch nicht.
You go west to the caves, but the path is blocked by rubble and debris. Maybe you could have hid here from the jailer before, but that's in the past. You quickly head back to the prison, and head east towards the caves. As you leave the prison, you have to avoid the corpses of several zombies which have been strewn across the path. You foolishly take this as a good sign. Leaving the prison behind, you find yourself in tunnels of light gray stone, flecked with black splotches similar to those of a child's finger painting. You feel the air turning less humid as light. Yes, actual sunlight appears at the end of the tunnel. As you find yourself standing at the threshold of a giant cavern, you feel the sudden need to cover your eyes against the glare from the sun penetrating the cavernous shafts. You made it through the first room, dear listener. Congratulations! You gained 50 experience. You'll need another 4,305
Ich versuche
experience
jetzt
to gain
nicht
a level.
alles zu
Dear
durchsuchen, ich
listener,
gehe einfach durch.
just so you know, you are able to use the command leave dungeon at any time to return to the surface and stock up at town. Would you like to leave dungeon or continue forward?
Continue.
You step into the huge chamber, breathe a sigh of relief, and squint at the sunlight pouring from a scattering of skylights. You must be closer to the surface than you thought. The cave itself is big enough to fit several large houses comfortably, and in the far eastern wall you see the mouth of 2 tunnels, one at ground level, the other on a ledge high off the ground. This is all well and good, until the scent of death enters your nostrils. The uneven stone floor is littered with piles of skeletons and corpses in varying states of decay. You can search this place or leave for the tunnels. What will you do? Search or leave?
Leave.
What will you do?
Leave. Open cursed painting.
Welcome back, dear list.
Leave to the tunnels.
You can search or leave.
Leave.
What will you do?
Leave. Open cursed painting.
Welcome back, dear listener.
Leave.
What will you do?
Search.
The piles seem to be purposely formed, and make grisly hills across the floor of the cavern. Most of the corpses are animal. Maybe they fell down through the skylights? Without warning, the floor of the cavern began to shake, and a great rumbling rattles the cave. You roll around, stumbling a little, and watch as one of the piles of corpses climb to its feet. Then you realize it's not a gathering of bodies, but a single moving entity of stitched flesh, rising like a butcher from bed at the crack of dawn. The abomination towers over you, its hulking presence slightly taller than a single-story building, and seems to be stitched and cobbled together from the parts of various undead. It didn't seem clumsy like the other undead though, instead formed from muscle and bone alone. Black iron chains are wrapped around its arms, either in an attempt to restrain it, or keep it in one piece. Your noble father taught you enough of ancient lore to know that this thing was crafted using forgotten magic, the kind that haven't existed since the old empire. The abomination looks at you hungrily, and it occurs to you that you've either walked into the monster's pantry or bedroom, either one similarly bad. It takes an aggressive step forward, and opens its mouth, but no noise comes out. Its jaw snaps shut like the sound of hammering against an anvil. The abomination stands between you, and the way you came in. You could fight it, I always did like brave fools. Or you could run down the eastern tunnel. Or if you're feeling strong, you could climb the cave wall and escape down through the elevated passage. What will you do? Stay and fight? Run away? Or climb the wall?
Stay and fight.
You can't. Stay and fight.
Fight.
You ready your weapon, and prepare for a truly heroic battle against a foe, far beyond your ability. That's what heroes do, right? You are fighting the abomination. The first round is yours.
Power Attack. Konnte ich früher nicht mit Level 4.
You gear up for a powerful strike.
Das war ein anderer Charakter. Jetzt bin ich Level
You roll
23.
18. You deal 42 damage. The abomination loses its balance.
Ein Schwert und die kämpfen jetzt nicht.
Amazingly done, dear listener.
Nee, eigentlich nie.
Maybe you were the one the mayor was hoping for. I'll give you a little extra something for this deed. You gain 200 experience.
Die hatten früher mal mehr
You'll
gegeben.
need another 3,705 experience to gain a level. You carefully climb down the chute, bracing yourself against either wall as you sink deeper into the earth.
Nein, ich bekomme kein Gold.
Soon the rough stone walls begin to be interspersed with ancient stone bricks and other artifacts, which act nicely as handholds for your descent. Before long, you reach the end of the chute. You're suspended a short drop above the cavern floor. Peering down, you see what looks like a bedroll and several crates. You listen closely but hear nothing from down below. Do you drop to the ground?
Yes.
You swing yourself carefully out of the chute.
Continue. War das der Punkt?
You take the tunnel down, leaving the adventurer's camp behind you. You walk for a long while and the tunnel narrows until you have to stoop and hold the lantern to stop it scraping against the wall. The gray and black rock presses tight, and then suddenly opens up as you squeeze out into a larger passage. A trail of dark red blood runs the course of the hall. Another room completed. You gain 50
Ja,
experience.
einfach durchgegangen.
You'll need another 3,605 experience to gain a level. The passage runs flat from the north to the south. Both ways seems equally viable. Which way will you go? North or south?
South.
You follow the blood trail downwards to the south, and paradoxically as you walk deeper the air seems to become cleaner. Or at least you can detect a faint movement in the air around you, and detect the fresh scent of wet leaves and pine, almost as if you were on the surface world again. Eventually you enter into a dark cavern. You raise your lantern higher and it reveals an otherworldly sight. The floor of the cave, what little it has, is composed of thin bridges and sheets of stone held up by towering stone pillars that extend into the darkness above. They're neither stalagmite or stalactite but look more akin to the stalk of a mushroom. A light wind swirls around the cavern. In one place the air seems to be pushing up from the depths, in another it threatens to pull you into it. The sight is almost enough to make you forget the trail of blood, which wends its way southward through the chamber. You entered on the north side of the cavern and the ground seems to become less and less secure as you travel south, until it comes to just 3 bridges leading across a wide chasm to the other side of the
Middle.
You can examine Boulder, or Goat Bridge.
Goat Bridge. Das war schwer.
You make your way southwards over branching bridges and sheets of stone, trying not to look too hard at the black abyss which continues to consume more and more of the available walking space. Eventually you come to a single sheet of stone, connected to the south end of the chamber by 3 bridges. You glance down and would almost swear you can see a glimmer.
Middle.
You step out onto the second bridge, figuring it to be the most stable of the 3 due to the pillars reaching into the dark above.
Eigentlich muss ich mehr runter.
Not so though, as a third of the way across the stone wavers under your feet, and the whole bridge, pillars and all, cracks and begins to fall. You realize that the pillars were nothing more than tall stalagmites that reached into the darkness, and never reached the ceiling. Unfortunate, really. Heavy air rushes like a gale through your hair as you fall. Images flicker through your eyes and mind, not of your life, but of cold stone and lantern light riding against the dark as you tumble downwards. Is this how it ends then?
No.
Yes it is. You catch one last view, a wide cavern of light brown stone filled with a strange purple light and a sea of black stone buildings and a whirlwind of white stone causeways connecting the city. And then your gaze was filled with nothing but stone as the ground leapt up to meet you. Well, that was certainly unexpected. Your eyes snap open and darkness floods your vision. You survived the fall. You only took 15 damage. A miracle. You move forward cautiously, raising your lantern high, as the passage falls away making room for a great space. It was almost as if you had stepped out of a mine shaft onto the surface, in the dark of night. But that could not be, for there were no stars or moon to light your path. No cold night wind on your skin, no grass or dirt, nothing but rough stone under your feet. You were underground certainly, but in no cave like you had seen before. It was so vast, it might as well have been another world lying hidden beneath the dirt. In the distance you see a faint green glow, and what looked to be the outline of buildings against the rocky black horizon. Could there be some kind of civilization all the way down here? It really is like walking on the surface world. The ground runs into hills and ravines, but then drops down to form crags and pits, while stalagmites stand solemn like trees, some larger than a fully grown oak, some smaller than the newest mushrooms. As you move towards the green light, it separates into a million tiny shards of crystal dotting the landscape, set into the stalagmites and almost sprouting from the ground. Just a little farther ahead is a wide swath of rectangular shapes that appear to be buildings, a veritable city, though you can neither see or hear signs of any inhabitants. You could continue, or pause to take a better look at the green crystals lighting the land around you. What will you do? Continue forward, or examine the crystals?
Continue.
You walk amid the ancient buildings on abandoned streets of brown stone. Up ahead you can hear the faint gurgling of water, which cracks the oppressive silence like ice. Do you investigate, or take more time to explore the city around you?
Yes.
You come to a wide open square. In the center of the space is an enormous circular mural. To the north is a tall tower of brown stone, its doorway lays open. At its base is a small boulder. To the east is a deep crack in the stone. If you wanted to go deeper into the dungeon and could find a way down, that might be a good way to do it. The sound of running water whispers from its depths. To the west is a squat 8-sided building sunk into the stone, Its doorway is only partly visible, half consumed by the earth. You can go to tower, or the building.
Go to building.
You move to the building and crouch, peering through what's left of the doorway. The floor of the building is some 2 feet below. You gained 50 experience.
Ja, Schnitztauber.
You'll need another 3,555 experience to
Das
gain a
Level
level.
hole ich hier nicht.
You duck under another collapsed roof beam as you make it through the wine cellar, only for your face to be greeted by a cobweb. After a moment of incoherent flailing, you think, would simply escaping this hellhole be such a bad idea? You could always come back later. But thinking about it, how far down must you be by now? You've already made it through numerous rooms, but the tunnels still continue to lead downwards. You wish the mayor could have told you more about this place.
Was für Mail?
After all, he wouldn't just send you down here based on a rumor, right? Making it to the end of the cellar, you see nothing but a dead end, littered with broken barrels and debris in the
Was
corner.
da genau los
You do, however, notice a gust of wind coming from under the pile of debris. You can turn around and go back to the surface, or clear the debris. What will you do?
Clear the debris.
As you start to clear out the level, removing all kinds of
Ich
debris,
habe recht viel
chairs,
Glück mit den
books,
Befehlen.
and weapons.
Wie das
Among the rusted weapons you
Versteht.
find something. A crossbow.
hab
Looks
ich
like
schon.
someone used all means necessary to weigh down that trapdoor. You pick it up. You can equip it from your inventory. Just say, open inventory.
Nein,
Otherwise,
der ist
to
schlecht.
continue.
Macht nur 8
Say
Schaden.
continue.
Meine Waffe macht 11. Continue.
With the trapdoor cleared of the rubble, you steel your resolve. You might still get out of this alive after all. As you inspect the trapdoor closer, however, you find it locked, with the mechanism in a horrible state due to the rimming of time. Your best course of action would be to either pick the lock with the nails lying around, or forcefully kick in the trapdoor. What will you do? Pick the lock? Or kick it open?
Pick the lock.
You grab a nail from the pile of debris and get to work.
Ja.
You make short work of the lock, and open the hatch only to peer down into darkness. A functional looking iron ladder leads into the
Irgendwie
unknown.
war das letzte Mal anders.
Do you want to descend?
Yes.
You carefully start your descent into the darkness. The steps of the ladder are quite slippery due to the dampness in the air.
Okay, das hier kenne ich nicht.
You made it down the ladder unharmed. You gained 25
Das
experience.
ist so wenig.
You'll need another
In den
3,530
ersten Leveln
experience to
geht
gain
es
a
ja
level.
noch, aber
The dampness hits you, almost to the point of drowning you by
komm mal
simply
wieder einen
breathing
Kampf
in the
und
air.
zum
It
Regenerate.
takes a few seconds for your eyes to adjust to the dim light down in the
Ich
cellar.
habe schon noch ein paar Waffen.
Unlike the wooden
Damage.
panel-clad room from before, this room's floor is made of hard rock.
Würde ich gerne überleben.
The strange fungus lining the ceiling gives the room
Aber
an
auch eine
eerie green
Abomination
shimmer.
gibt's noch.
Cell doors line the walls.
Ah,
You
ja.
seem to be in a detention area of some
Stimmt,
sort.
die Cells.
Looking around, you see a table to your left. There is a dead body lying in the middle of the room, and an iron door across the room from where you are.
Search the cells. Stimmt, hier war so ein nerviger
You check the cells.
Gegner.
Suddenly, you hear a cough from inside one of them. You head towards the cell where the cough came from. A man is sitting inside it.
What? Haven't you done enough already? Wait, you're human?
It's quite apparent that the man has been stuck here for way longer than what would be considered humane. The man slowly gets up to the bars and reaches out towards you.
Please, get me out of here. The key.
He points towards the dead body.
Please, I beg of you. There's not much time. Fetch me the key.
You can search the table, the dead body, the cell.
Search the body. Nee, das musste man machen.
Nearing the body, you notice that death has surely come for this individual quite some time ago, as decay has not only set in, but already passed. The stench of the bloated corpse makes you think twice about getting any closer. You can perceive a key on a chain hanging loosely from the belt of the body. Will you take the key?
Yes. Muss ich.
As you reach in closer to grab the key while trying to not inhale the foul stench, there is a subtle twitch of a limb. Before you have a chance to react, the corpse grabs your hand firmly and stands up with janky movement that has no business belonging to a dead man. It strikes you and you take 3 damage. You free yourself from its grasp and ready yourself for combat.
Ist ein Undead.
You are fighting the undead.
Ja.
The first round is yours. Your health is 32.
Power attack.
You gear up for a powerful strike. You roll 9.
Power attack.
You gear up for a powerful strike. You roll 13.
Ja.
You deal 41 damage.
Ist okay.
The undead lose its balance. It slumps back down even more dead than before. You hold your breath and yank the key free from its belt. You gain 250 experience. You'll need another 3,280 experience to gain a level. You restore 5 of your health thanks to regeneration.
Cool.
You can search the table, the dead body.
Search the cells.
Please, get me out of here. The key.
He looks at the dead body.
You have the key. Please, let me out.
Muss ich.
Will you open the cell door?
Yes.
The cell door opens, and the man stumbles over to the table, where he suddenly stops.
Too late. It is too late for me. My body is not my own anymore.
He grabs a flask from the table.
But I will not die their puppet.
He looks at his reflection in the glass.
I'm sorry, Martha.
Smashing the glass flask on the table, he proceeds to stab himself with the broken bottle net. He falls dead to the ground. What could have driven the man to do that, you wonder? But before you have time to contemplate, a shadow rises from his body, taking an almost human form. The ghost looks at you for a moment, before lunging towards you. You are fighting the Wraith.
Letztes Mal ich
The
in
first round is yours.
Prison.
Your health,
Prepare.
you prepare yourself for your next.
Power attack. Ist mir eigentlich egal.
You gear up for a powerful strike. You roll 22. You deal 40 damage. The Wraith loses its balance.
Naja.
The ghost dissolves into nothingness. You look at the dead body of the tortured man. How long had the thing tormented him, you wonder? You notice something hanging on his belt. An orb, engraved with that of a hawk.
Haben die alle
You
Handschuhe?
pick it up. You gain 300 experience. You'll need another 2,980 experience to gain a level. You restore 5 of your health thanks to regeneration. You can search the table, the dead body, the cells, or the iron door.
Search the iron door. Jetzt wird's doch erst interessant.
You walk over to the iron enforced door. It's not clear whether this door was meant to prevent people from entering or exiting the room. It's locked. On closer inspection, you notice a giant lock adorned with a hawk sitting beneath the handle. The orb that you got from the prisoner seems to fit the lock perfectly. The ghost haunting him must have been the jailer of this place.
Jetzt.
Do you wish to leave the room?
Yes.
The door slowly creaks open. Before you lies a pitch-dark corridor leading into the unknown. You take a quick look over your shoulder. What madness was going on in this place? You think as you continue into the darkness. You gained 50 experience. You'll need another 2,930 experience to gain a level. You walk for a while in the darkness, letting your lantern light guide you down the ancient passage, which runs straight as a blade through the brown stone. The passage slants down slightly and a glimmering green light appears in the distance. As you approach, it reveals itself to be yet more glowing green crystals, this time set in ornate stone sconces from the wall. The sound of running water jogs up to meet you from farther down the passage. The noise grows louder as you continue, until it is sprinting, hammering against the stones in desperation or rage, and then the walls fall away, and you emerge on high in a grand chamber. You're standing on the high south wall of the cave. The path you've been following winds downwards, skirting the walls, towards the polished stone floor of the elliptical cavern which extends high into the darkness. To the north is a towering waterfall which falls from the black, flanked by a pair of tall silver statues. From that place the water tumbles into a deep basin in the floor, and runs along a shallow channel that splits in the center of the room to flow to both east and west ends of the room. In the center of the chamber an enormous green crystal, tall as a castle's tower, hangs from black iron chains, lighting the scene with pale green. Welcome, dear listener, to the old empire. You hike down the sloping ramp and before long arrive on the polished stone floor. To the north are the pair of silver statues and waterfall. To the east and west a channel of water disappears into the wall of the chamber, but in the west a pair of tall black iron doors have been set into the wall beside it. West seems to be the more viable path out of the two. You can either go north, or west.
West.
You cross to the west side of the chamber and examine the doors. They stand tall, twice your height at the least, and water flows through a grate underneath. Considering the scale of the cavern as a whole, the door seems oddly underwhelming, as the sole gateway leading deeper into the empire. Nevertheless, it opens easily, and its hinges squeal softly as it opens before your touch. Beyond lies a long corridor. On one side of the passage a channel of water continues forward. The opposite wall is covered with strange symbols and lit by green crystal sconces. You gained 50 experience. You'll need another 2,880 experience to gain a level. You travel slowly down the corridor, marveling at the strange symbols coating the right-hand wall. The passage passes several doors, which refuse to open under your touch, and several archways, which had been filled with collapsed rubble long ago. You wonder how long you might wander lost in this place if so much of it was not barred from your entry. Though it seems the hall might continue on forever, it suddenly ends. In the wall before you stands a small black steel door. It sits half open, half slid into the right-hand wall. The channel of water flows right through it, squeezing around the door's base and into the room beyond. Through the door you see a glare of white light. In the west of the room stand three tall objects covered in a black cloth. The center of the room is filled with counters covered in papers and vials. The door remains stubbornly shut behind you. You can search the shelves, or the tanks.
Search the tanks.
You move to the west end of the room and examine the tall coffin-like objects covered in cloth. With a quick tug, their covering is removed and you gasp. Each object is a huge glass tank of sorts filled with water. Inside the first two stand two enormous chained figures stitched of flesh and muscle, each easily twice your height. The left monster's eyes slip sleepily open and lock onto you, burning with an undead hunger. They seem to be near exact replicas of the undead abomination you fought earlier. The third tank has been broken from within, and sits empty. You suspect you'd rather not let the other two tanks run out of water. You don't have anything that you can put in the tanks at the moment. Maybe you could find something nearby? The western tanks are about 3/4 filled with water, though emptying quickly. You can search the shelves, or the tanks.
Search for shelves.
You move to the counters. They are covered with vials of strange liquid. One red and the rest green. What potion would you like to take? Green or red?
Green.
You search through the vials again, and find a large flask of thick green liquid. You uncork it, and the stench makes you stagger. It smells like rotten eggs and green ham. In the movement, you tip the vial, and a drop of the liquid falls onto the floor. It hisses angrily as the acid bores a hole in the ground. You reseal the vial, glad you didn't spill any on yourself. You gain a vial of acid. Now, what could you ever do with that? The western tanks are half empty of water. You can search the shelves, or the tanks.
Search for shells.
What potion would you like to take? Green or red?
Red.
You move the vials which sit and glow and shimmer in a mirage of strange colors. A red glass filled with a familiar warm light catches your eye and you pluck it off the rack. You gain a healing potion. You now have 5 potions. The water level in the western tanks is growing dangerously low. You can search the shelves, or the tanks.
Search the tanks.
You walk to the tanks again and examine them. You notice a mess of pipes that run from the now empty channel of water into each tank. At several places on the pipes are now empty vials that might once have dripped fluid into the water as it entered the tanks. Do you want to pour the flask of acid into the tanks? You're not sure if one will be enough to kill both abominations, if only there was a way to make another flask of acid. If there's anything else you want to do here, you should do that first. Pouring acid into important machinery often has unexpected side effects. Will you use the acid?
Yes.
You pour the flask of acid into the tubes and watch as they sweep the green liquid away and into the abomination's tanks. The monsters, suddenly very much awake, writhe in pain and struggle against their chains. You back away as the left abomination's restraints give way, and with a great crash both that tank and its neighbor shatter. The room shakes and part of the roof caves in, crashing against the island counter and burying its contents. There is a great explosion as the vials of ancient alchemical liquid are crushed and flames spread quickly around the room. One of the abominations slumps and dissolves into a pile of black ash which burns away in green flames. The other steps forward, shrugging off the acid burns and leaps forward to attack. The fire fills the room with smoke and heat. You will have to finish this fight quickly. Because you used the acid, I'll give you something extra. You gain 200 experience. You'll need another 2,680 experience to gain a level. You are fighting the abomination.
Power attack.
You gear up for a powerful strike. You roll 21. You deal 41 damage. The abomination loses balance. You gain 400 experience.
Kann die nicht mal.
You'll need another 2,280 experience to gain a level. You restore 5 of your health thanks to regeneration. You cough, lungs screaming against the smoke that fills the air. Flames dance around your feet, and you can't help but wonder if this is finally the end. You stumble through the heat and smoke, and crash against the western wall. The 3 tanks loom before you, like coffins waiting to be filled. But through the haze you see another shape, a dark hole set low in the wall behind the tanks. A drainage pipe? Salvation. Your vision starts to waver and dim as you scramble through the rubble of the tanks, hardly noticing the glass crunching beneath your feet as you do so. Consciousness fading, you crawl into the pipe, pulling yourself along foot by foot. Already so far gone you hardly notice a sharp twist in the pipe as it turns fully vertical, until you're falling down. Your mind fades to black and a wide pool of blue rushes to meet you as you fall into deep water. You gain 50 experience. You'll need another 2,230 experience to gain a level. For the second time in a relatively short time you find yourself waking at the water's edge. For a second you're held by the illusion that you are waking once more at the edge of the sea, expelled from your home by your own people. The thought fades though, for it is not beach sand, and rolling waves that wake you, but hard stone, and the routine yet unnerving sound of metal being sharpened to a keen edge. You sit up, soaking wet and deathly cold, thinking that next time you'll treat your subjects with a little more care, or perhaps that you'll simply rule with a fist stronger than steel. Will you sit there for a while feeling sorry for yourself, or will you keep moving?
Moving.
Good to see you're still alive. I'd hate to have fished you out of the lick for nothing.
You turn to the north and see an elderly woman with white gold hair and a shirt of chainmail sitting on a three-legged stool. In her hands are a whetstone and a two-handed longsword, which she hones in a steady, effortless way. It shines like a mirror and you get the impression she's been sharpening that blade for a long time.
Muss ich nicht kämpfen.
A bit far from home for one of noble blood, aren't you? How are you liking the life the rest of us live? Well, don't be shy. Come and sit. Let us talk for a while. There is little else to do down here.
She gestures to a small stool sat not far from her. Round the woman there is a small camp set against the wall of the cave. Past her, at the north end of the chamber, are a tall set of double doors bound in steel and green crystal. You can talk, or approach the door.
Talk.
You approach the camp. A small awning has been sewn of patched cloth and leather, and a hammock made of the same material has been strung between two outcroppings of stone, several feet off the floor. Shelves have been carved into the stone wall of the cave. The woman smiles and gestures again to a second stool, not far from her own.
Feel free to look around. It's not much, but it's home. Sit down when you're ready to talk.
You can talk, or look around the camp.
Talk.
You sit on the stool across from the hero.
Heißt nicht chill.
Good of you to join me. If there's anything you'd like to ask, then ask away. I'm not exactly privy to current matters on the surface, but I know more than most about the curse and the undead.
A chill wind and a low whisper seems to sweep through the cavern, and a wave of nausea grips you. To the north, the door positively glares at the both of you. The woman glances at the door, then to you, and back again warily.
Or, if you'd rather, we can get right down to business.
You can talk about the hero, the curse, or continue.
About the hero.
You can talk about the hero.
The hero.
What will you do?
Talk about the hero.
I was one of the first who ever braved this dungeon. I was a great hero on the surface. The mayor of this town begged me to clear it in the hopes of ending the undead curse which rests upon this land. It seemed a good quest, offered by a man of good morals. I was such a fool.
You can talk about.
Continue. Nika.
Greetings. The undead down here have calmed down as of late. You did it, didn't you? You beat the mayor and his beast. You have proven yourself strong enough. I will not be in your way anymore.
You approach the throne room. A faint glow emits from the doors bound in steel and green crystal. A hollow feeling creeps into the pit of your stomach, and a low hum fills the air. You think you can almost make out words in the sound, as if it's made of 1,000 muted conversations. Do you wish to enter?
Yes. Versuchen das mal ein bisschen spannend zu halten.
What will you do?
Yes.
Gritting your teeth, you place your hands on the door, and heave it open. You gained 50
Ich kann
experience.
jetzt komplett fertig machen, aber
You'll need another 2,180 experience to gain a level.
bisschen.
Before you stands an empty room.
Etwas länger.
An empty hall held aloft by a few ruined pillars barely standing in a rubble of stone and dust. It is dark, and your flickering candlelight pierces only a little ways inside. Confused, you step forward and suddenly the room springs to life. It seems filled once more with people, smiling and laughing around long banquet tables. Golden light fills the room from stained glass windows and tapestries line the walls. A trio of musicians plays in the corner. But their music is little more than the scratching of nails on stone. The tapestries are rotten and woven of black ink, and the people making merry at the table seem the half-finished charcoal drawings of an imaginative child. The poorly drawn spirits pause, and silence fills the hall once more as they look up at you. A horrible scream rends the air, and the spirits thrust backwards. Stretched and pulled through the air, like a pile of leaves swept up in a gale, the spirits shred and disappear. But then you see it, a great swirling form, consuming the spirits one by one, pulling, reclaiming them into its mass. The door closed shut behind you long ago. The light from your lantern flickers and dims. The avatar of Indeth smiles as if already counting you among its legion of dead. Do not falter, do not waver, you have not come this far to tremble now, see the deed done. Combat begins. May whatever magic that still lingers in this world smile upon your struggle. You are fighting the avatar. The first round is yours. Your health is 47. You roll 1. You miss. Your turn. Action 1.
Attack.
You roll 16. You miss.
Bisschen ausweichen kann.
Your turn. Action 2.
Attack.
You roll 16. You miss. The avatar rolls 27. And deals 8 damage.
Oh, süß.
Round 2. Your health is 39. Your turn. Action 1.
Attack.
You roll 28. You deal 22 damage.
Schon fast.
Your turn. Action 2.
Prepare.
You prepare yourself for your next attack. The avatar takes its chance and attacks. It rolls 17.
Trifft mich mal.
It misses.
Power attack.
You gear up for a powerful strike. You roll 25.
Das war's dann wohl für den.
You deal 39 damage. The avatar loses balance. You can feel the room's atmosphere change as the shadows disperse, retreating into the walls. As light returns to the room, you get a good look at your surroundings and the throne the shadows had surrounded. Skeletal parts aline one wall of the room, and on the throne a whole skeleton sits. Its long black hair and tarnished clothes all that remains. Could this have been the queen? As you ponder, you hear clicking and crackling coming from the bones aligning the wall. You walk over and to your surprise find the different parts being assembled in a fusing process. You stamp on them once and the process stops. Seems like the curse won't leave this place that easy, but hopefully it will weaken with time. You gained 1000 experience.
Cool.
You'll need another 1180 experience to gain a level. You restore 5 of your health thanks to regeneration. You now know who the identity of the woman in the picture hanging in the mayor's office. She was one of the shadows you just fought, the one sitting on the throne. How did the mayor and captain stay alive for so long? Was the attacks on the town some sort of attempt to reunite her with the two? In any case, you put an end to it all, dear listener. You should be proud. You gave them rest. You gave them an ending. You have made it as far in the dungeon as you can. While you couldn't fix the curse that haunts the town, you at least hope that the person sitting upon her throne can rest in peace. If nothing else, at least the mayor has been dealt with. You have completed the dungeon. You make your way back out of the dungeon.
Das war's dann wohl mit dem Dungeon. Ich denke nicht, dass ich nochmal einen neuen Charakter anfange, weil der ist jetzt schon ganz gut so. Ich mache da noch einen zweiten Teil vom Mountain. Wird ein bisschen kürzer. Die Kämpfe genauso unspannend, aber dann wird die Story auch noch weitergeführt. Na, würde ich mal sagen, war's das mit dem Video. Bis zum nächsten Mal.